3 months of conflict in the Gaza Strip have left a massive number of deaths and extensive humanitarian catastrophes. Displaced Gaza people see no hope as Israel says its campaign has entered a new phase. Zhang Dan has more details.
It's 3 months since Israel vowed revenge on Hamas militants in Gaza.
We are at war, not in operation, not rounds, but at war.
To date, over 22,000 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza. More than 90% of Gaza's 2.3 million residents have been displaced, and their homes lie in ruins. Israel made it clear its objective is to eliminate Hamas. At first, Israeli defense forces carried out a series of artillery strikes and air raids in the Gaza Strip and caught up some 300,000 reservists, the most in the nation's history. On October 26th, Israel began to press ground operations. With a focus in northern Gaza, the IDF asked Palestinians to evacuate southward. This marked the beginning of the lengthy, overwhelming displacement of the people of Gaza. From then on, the humanitarian crisis has worsened day by day. Starvation has spread across the population. Hospitals have been barely functioning due to a lack of fuel and supplies. The aid allowed in through the lifeline border crossings is too little too late, hard to deliver to those most in need.
We have children who suffer from severe dehydration. We now receive such cases which we cannot treat, given the current conditions. We see them dying in front of our eyes.
In mid-November, Israel raided Al-Shifa hospital, claiming Hamas had built command and control centers and weapon depots underneath. Later, the IDF shifted its military campaign to central and southern Gaza, and the assaults were from land, air, and sea. A week-long truce, mediated by Qatar and Egypt, began on November 24th. Hamas released over 100 captives in exchange for Israel releasing 240 Palestinian prisoners. The Israeli public said it was not enough.
I'm afraid that the government of Israel has prioritized otherwise its political ambitions, and the hostages is not on the top priorities. In order to release these hostages, a ceasefire must be taking place. There is no other way.
The temporary ceasefire ended with bombings resumed in Gaza, and the enclave's second-largest city, Han Yunis, became the new major battlefield. Israel demanded further evacuation of the Gazans, but nowhere in the enclave was safe.
They made us flee our homes while the shooting was overhead, and we went to the shelter in the school, but we were not spared. They recovered us from under the rubble, and we're not spared. And here we're being displaced, as you can see. Look at my children. They're sick and barefoot.
As the conflict entered the new year, there was no sign of de-escalation. Upon the assassination of the Hamas deputy head in Beirut, the group froze talks for any truce deal. And as Israel signaled a new phase with more targeted operations against Hamas in Gaza, it said the conflict would continue throughout 2024. Zhang Dan, CGTN.